Hi, my name is Xerxes, and today I'm here with Dekai. It's good to have you here, Dekai.
Great to be here, Xerxes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, yes, could you please introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? However you like.
I'm on the one hand, I'm an AI professor. If you know things like Google Translate or Yahoo Translate or Microsoft Translate, I pioneered those sorts of things. I built the first web translation AI and developed a bunch of the machine learning foundations for them. I also work on music technology, AI for computer music and um, computational social science. Um, is one of the people who sort of, you know, pushed machine learning approaches into the field of AI at a time 30 some years ago when the field was dominated by what we call good old fashioned AI, which is rule based, manually coded, logic based uh, systems that were really impossible to scale up. We fought this battle to like move away from logic, stop trying to manually model the world by writing everything we knew about the world by hand, and instead model the mind, which is not a logic machine. Model these massively parallel distributed units that fire different activation levels at each other, and from that complex system emerges uh, learning behavior. And so, uh, I've been pushing on that the whole time. I pretty much focus on things that have to do with getting cultures to relate better to each other, to understand each other better. Um, that extends also to my work as a musician, uh, having formed one of Hong Kong's main world music groups, uh, as well as my social impact work, where fighting discrimination and uh, looking to enhance dialogues between different cultures, and looking at ways to decrease the alarming amount of polarization, divisiveness, fear, and hatred that we're seeing, both in many countries domestically as well as globally in the geopolitical situation.
Okay, great. And please tell us, why do you do what you do?
I think I've had the privilege of being shown a lot of the world since I was a child. My parents took us all over the U.S. I was, they had come to the U.S. as teenagers from war-torn China and Hong Kong and Japan and so on, and they landed in the literally smack in the middle of the country in St. Louis, which is
Hmm.
um, if you know, it's on the Mississippi River, which is the separates the east and the west in the U.S., and on the Mason-Dixon line, which separates the north and the south. So literally right in the middle. And I grew up in the Midwest heavily in Illinois, uh, the next state over. It was very mind-opening to see the cultural differences, how they weighed on perceptions of people, and then my parents took us not only to almost every state in the union, but to other countries, and we saw things about the developing world that were very, very different. We saw extreme poverty. We saw things that made me question from an early age whether all of the assumptions um, that were mainstream around where I was growing up maybe were relative to the uh, environment, the economic level, the
Hmm.
education level, and of course the cultural background that you have to deal with. And so I think that these are things that, as we've seen in the last decades, have led to enormous stresses in humanity, and that has really driven me, I think, to look for ways that between the technology and the arts, music, and just dialogue, social dialogue. That there are things that are urgent upon those of us who are able to look at how we can enhance, how we can really ramp that up,
Mhm.
so that we don't end up with humanity literally tearing itself apart and destroying itself and the planet in the process.